Yo, what's up, man? We're here in A-rtifax. Welcome to A-rtifax in Hammond, Indiana, 6418 Kennedy Avenue. You got to check us out. My name's Cartoon DeFaro, and this is A-rtifax. My partnership with my sister, that's my sister, of course. I got inspired by her. She's an artist. She's a little older than I am, and as we were growing up, her art was it just inspired me big time, you know. And the reason we're here is because of the fact that, well, I'm a popper from the heart. I've been popping since 1978 and getting into the hip hop culture. As a popper, I started breakdancing in 1980. I started a crew in East Chicago, Indiana called TNT Breakers. And from there, I was just getting in deep into the hip hop with breakdancing and popping and got a crew together and just ran wild, man, throughout the Midwest. And then as time passed by, after like the 80s, like the late 80s, breaking was calming down and that whole scene was going a little bit down. And then again in the 90s, we started with my brother Umbi and a couple other guys. They were like, at the time in the 80s, they were younger. And then like in the early 90s, 1994, he was already older now and breaking was back. They got me back into breakdancing, hence a new TNT was born. We started a second chapter. And after that, we ended up going to New York to the Rocksteady Anniversary. And I'm not sure which one it was, but I met up with some guys that I knew from back in the days, from the 80s that were from California. There's a guy named Easy Rock, which gave me an idea to create these things right here. And what happened there was it was very crazy, man. He's an artist also and a breakdancer, very famous. He was selling these necklaces, and you know, they just had the 4 elements on the necklaces. They were made out of wood with a digital print on there. And he was like, "Hey, Cartoon, man!" He had a whole bunch of them, and he had these T-shirts. He's standing there. I mean, there was like mobs of b-boys and people from all over the world, you know. And I'm looking at him. He's like, "Man, Cartoon, you gotta." I go, "Those are sick, man." He's like, "You gotta come out with something too, man, so that you could go to these shows, man." That was like my first show in a long time, you know. And next thing you know it, I'm checking him out, like, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, he's just selling them left and right, left and right. By the end of the show, everything was gone. He wouldn't have anything, but he had a big bag full of them, but 20s and 100s, you know, like, wow, that really does work, you know. So when I came back, I was like, man, I want to do what he's doing. I want to travel all over, you know what I mean? I want to go to all these sets, because I'm a b-boy for life, you know, not for life, forever, you know what I mean? So I want to go out there and see what else is out there. You know, I'd never been away from East Chicago. You know, all I knew was East Chicago. And I want to meet different cultures and different styles of breaking and popping and whatever the heck is out there. I want to be an artist, man. You know, I always have been, but I didn't know how to get into it. You know, growing up in East Chicago was very hard. You know, at that time, there wasn't too many activities to do. The only thing I had to keep me out of gangs and gangbanging is my art. And it was very hard because a lot of people didn't really believe in the art, you know, there was nobody there. So I had to make myself, you know, believe in myself to go out there and just take a chance. I said, hey, you know, I'm like in my early 20s or mid 20s, and I'm like, I'm gonna go out there, man, you know, I'm just gonna take a chance, see what happens. Got my last check, went to a craft store, hence I found this clay called, you know, I forgot the name of it, but I found some clay. I started doodling around. I said, I'm going to make the 4 elements in 3-dimensional. So I found an event happening in San Diego, and there was over 10,000 b-boys from all over the world. And I'm like, man, I got to go. I got to take a chance, see what happens. I spent all my money. I got there after I brought my plane ticket and everything. Got there, I had my shoebox with me full of artifacts. And I'm like, let's see what happens, you know what I mean? I just came up with the idea myself, and it was just, I took, you know, my last $5 to get the bus to get to the event. I get to the event, there's a long, huge line. I mean, there's people from, I mean, everywhere, all around the world. And I'm like nervous, and I'm like, I hope at least I can sell a few at least to make it back or whatever. So I get there, man. As soon as I get to the door, they're like, they already had told me, hey, Cartoon, when you get to San Diego, I got you a table, you know what I mean? I got to San Diego, I had my box, and they said, I went to the, you know, main table where, you know, you're registered, and they said, Cartoon DeFaro, yep, you're here, A-rtifax, go on in. I'm like, oh my God, let's do this. As soon as I set them out, within the first 2 hours, I sold out of everything. I made $3,500. And from that point on, I just kept going. Went to Colorado, to Seattle, Washington, New York, Miami. I went across the United States and lived in Canada for three months. And for 7 years, that's all I did, is just do that, and got my name known. My stuff's out in Tokyo, overseas, sending my stuff in bulk, you know what I mean? With other B-boys, traveled all over. I mean, it was like if I was in the service, but I was doing my art. And here I am, a guy from East Chicago that had a big dream, you know what I mean? And all the people and all those, you know, those pioneers out there, man, that I always saw on television as a kid, I was just hanging out with them now. I was in their world now. I was like, wow, I was living a dream. It was like a miracle, you know? It was something like where you follow your dreams and you never give up and you take that chance and you go out there and you do it. It was amazing. Next thing you know it, I'm there, man. I'm a part of the scene. I'm a big part of it because I bring something different, you know what I mean, to the B-boy and the culture and stuff. I made the sculptures of all the pioneers, and kids were tripping out. They were like, what, I've never seen an actual sculpture of a B-boy. I invented the first B-boy trophies, you know what I mean? I was in magazines. I mean, back home I was getting, my family, every time I made contact or something, they were like, I just seen you on the magazine that stirs me, oh, this and that. They were tripping out. Like I was doing it. Next thing you know, I'm on TV, some program, Mundo Dos, called The Roof. They came down to San Diego. You know, we started our shop out there, and man, it was just blowing up. And it was like, next thing you know, we arrive in Miami again, and they're like signing autographs and this and that. You know, like, oh, that's Cartoon the Pharaoh, man, A-rtifax, belt buckle. Created a belt buckle that's a graffiti belt buckle that never existed, you know what I mean? And by me creating these and creating those sculptures and those trophies, I got an idea like, well, let me see if I could make a belt buckle, you know what I mean? A graffiti style belt buckle that didn't exist nowhere in the world. Came out with it, next thing you know it, sent some to the Source magazine in New York. They freaking did like a three-page layout, which was worth about 30 grand, but they did it for free of how much the guy loved them. I sent him like 5 of them. I told him, you could keep them. He was into belt buckles. He's like, hey man, this issue's got a whole line of belt buckles from Sean John and all kinds of different companies. And ours was the first one, 2-page layout and 3 other pages, man. You know, it was just blowing up. We started getting calls from Sabrina Williams, stylist, Chris Rock stylist, Queen Latifah called us to do a movie, The Cookout. We got our necklaces in the movie, you know what I mean? We sent her a buckle. She said they stole it off the set because it was so fly, you know what I mean? We did a fresh buckle, like taking it back to the old school. It said fresh on it, man, it was off the hook. I found myself in downtown LA, rubbing elbows with Keanu Reeves, all these movie stars, directors on top of a roof where it was only VIP. Whoever was in that hotel is called the Red Roof, or no, not Red Roof, Standard Hotel, where it was none but like famous coming up actors or whatever, you know, people in the business. And the only way you could go up to the roof to the club is if you're in the whole mix. You know, you arrive up to the top, you got to have your VIP, you know, thing, and they announce it, hey, A-rtifax is here, boom, and then the DJ, you know, it says it was real cool. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, man, I can't believe this. You know what I mean? I'm doing this, man. It was very beautiful anyways. Finally came back to East Chicago after a long time, and then just, you know, kept going, doing my thing, trying to teach kids about your art. Hey, follow your dreams. Was mixing it up in Chicago with the B-boys out there, and doing shows, performing, and still selling all the artifacts. I mean, I can't even count right now to this day how many artifacts I've done since 1995. It all started with the artifacts being all handmade from scratch, you know what I mean? Each one was totally different, you know what I mean? And they still are, but it's just insane just to think back, like, how many have I sold? I mean, I've sold tons and tons and tons of them, you know what I mean? Then when I was gonna head back to California, because I love California. I mean, they really inspire you. As you being an artist, they're like, man, you're awesome. And I could imagine everybody out there from where you're from, how they are. If you come from out there, you probably got and it's true, man. East Chicago got a lot of talent. You know what I mean? A lot of times we need a lot of help. I mean, we're doing our best to be here, start something that nobody else has started. As time passes by, we're gonna help other people, you know? And anyways, before deciding to go back to California and opening a shop out there, I was just like, you know what? I love my family. I love where I live. You know, I live in East Chicago. I'm living right now the place where I grew up, you know what I mean? And it's insane because that house where I'm at is like a heart, man. It's like, I don't know, it just takes me back from when I first started practicing as a 13-year-old, teaching 27-year-old guys how to break dance, you know what I mean? And I was the only breaker in East Chicago at that time. And, you know, and it was just like, wow, you know what I mean? So I'm living there now. And anyways, I was like, well, I'm not gonna go nowhere. I love being out here. I gotta give back to my, you know, the place where I come from. And everybody knows my name out there in the world, so why do I have to go anywhere else where I could still be here with my family? And then, you know, I started thinking my sister's into it too. She came to me, she's like, hey, I want to do something too. We got together, bam, we found this spot, you know what I mean? It's a good spot. And we said, let's do it. Let's do A-rtifax out here and see what happens, you know? And we're trying to do it right now as of this day. We're trying to make it happen, you know. It's very hard, but hopefully, maybe by doing this video or something, you know, we can, you know, I don't know, you know, somehow get a hold of some people, or some people could get a hold of us, you know, to try to come here and maybe they could at least get inspired, and young kids that are artists up and coming, and we can, you know, talk to them. So far as the time that I've been here, I've got a lot of kids coming in here showing me their artwork, little kids, little 12-year-old, 19-year-old, 12-year-old, like, you know, and teenagers and 19-year-olds and like young dudes, you know. And I tell them, you know what I mean? I'm here because I believed in myself, and you have to believe in yourself. And art is beautiful, because with art is like, it's like a language that everybody understands. You know what I mean? It's beautiful, man. And you just feel whatever you feel inside, and let it come from your heart. You know, sometimes you can't think about what you're gonna draw. It just comes out naturally. And once you learn that, then you're on your way, you know what I mean? And the world is not as big as you think it is, because once you put your heart into your art, then from there, it'll open doors like you'll never believe. You could be in New York one minute, you could be in California the next minute, you'll be in Miami the next minute. It's crazy. And before you know, you're like, where the hell am I? You know what I mean? But it's a beautiful feeling, you know? And that's where we're at. We're here right now trying to get this. I mean, we do the 4 elements. I mean, we do everything from fashion to sculptures to signage, you know what I mean? And the signage we do is more like custom, you know what I mean? Something different. We're looking, everything that we do here is like 10 years ahead. That's how we're thinking. In our minds, we're thinking, well, we're gonna do something that's gonna come out in 10 years. So that way, by 10 years, we're still 10 years ahead. So that's what we're doing right now.